Welcome back, everyone. Looks like you guys are really into all this stuff about mindfulness and personal growth and how to, navigate this crazy modern world. So today we're serving up a plate of, I'm going to call them trending tidbits. Get it?
Aha, well,
We're going to pull out some aha moments, those actionable insights from all those audiobooks you love, like How to Stay Calm in Every Situation and Easygoing Spirit.
good. How to set boundaries.
Yes, that one's so good. And even Stop Caring. That one's a little provocative,
Definitely get you thinking.
for sure. And we even sprinkled in some wisdom from, YouTube and stuff. So,
Buckle up. It seems like you're really drawn to that practical stuff,
yeah.
things you can actually use in your life. So that's
Yeah,
what we're going for today, like tools you can start using right now.
I love that.
Aye.
Okay, so first up, let's talk about mastering your inner world. Like all those thoughts and feelings that can sometimes feel out of control. How to stay calm in every situation. Have this amazing explanation about how our emotions aren't just these like vague feelings. They're actually physical processes happening in our bodies.
Yeah. It's wild. They talk about how our brain interprets a situation and then triggers this whole cascade of reactions. It's like your heart rate increases, your muscles tense up.
Yeah, it's like a chain reaction. They
Yeah.
use this cascade analogy, which I thought was so brilliant.
Right. It makes it so much easier to understand what's actually going on.
And the key to like gaining control over those reactions is recognizing those patterns.
Mhm.
The audiobook talks about figuring out your personal triggers.
Yeah.
Those things that set off that cascade.
Like why does your coworker's comment make your blood boil? Or why does traffic make you want to scream?
Seriously. It's all about understanding those triggers.
And journaling can be such a helpful tool for that. It's like having a conversation with yourself where you can uncover the reasons behind those reactions.
Okay, so then there's worry, which Easygoing Spirit really dives into. And it made me realize that worry isn't always a bad thing.
Totally. It often comes from wanting to, protect ourselves and anticipate problems.
Right. But like the book says, it can also sabotage our progress.
Absolutely. It can trap us in this vortex of what ifs and worst case scenarios, leaving us feeling completely drained.
They tell this story about a guy named Brian, who's a total chronic worrier, always planning for the worst, super uptight.
Oh, I know a Brian.
Right. We all do. But his friend Alex, who's like the embodiment of the easygoing spirit, teaches him to lighten up and find the humor in things.
I love those kinds of stories, where someone helps you see things in a totally new way.
Me too. It reminds me of my friend Sarah. She used to stress about every little detail.
Oh,
Yeah.
But then she started practicing mindfulness, like really focusing on the present moment.
Yeah.
And now she's so much happier and relaxed.
It's amazing how a shift in perspective can make such a difference.
It really is. The audiobook also talks about practicing gratitude. Taking a moment to appreciate all the good things in your life can really ease anxiety.
It's so simple, but so powerful.
Yeah, right. What are you grateful for right now? Think about it.
Okay, ready for a mind-blowing concept?
Hit me.
Detachment.
Now, before you think we're suggesting you become some kind of like emotionless robot, hear me out. How to Stay Calm in Every Situation explains detachment as a pathway to inner peace.
It's not about being indifferent or not caring. It's about letting go of clinging to specific outcomes.
Oh, I see.
Like we get so fixated on things happening a certain way, and when they don't, we're left feeling disappointed, frustrated.
Even angry.
Exactly. Detachment is about accepting what is without resistance.
So it's like rewiring your brain. Instead of saying, this must happen this way, you're saying, okay, this is happening. How can I work with it?
Exactly.
The audiobook suggests mindfulness meditation as a way to cultivate detachment.
Which makes sense because mindfulness is all about being present in this moment, observing your thoughts and feelings without judgment.
Right.
And that non-judgmental awareness is key to detaching from outcomes and finding that inner stillness.
Okay, let's step into the sometimes rocky terrain of relationships. Both How to Set Boundaries and Easygoing Spirit talk about how important boundaries are. And it's not about being selfish, is it?
Not at all. It's about self-respect. It's about acknowledging that your needs and wants are just as valid as anyone else's.
And it's about communicating those needs in a clear and assertive way.
Exactly.
Easygoing Spirit had this story about Kate, who was incredibly inflexible, always needed things to be just so.
Oh, no.
I know, right? It created so much tension in her relationships. But she eventually learns to be more accepting and tolerant. And guess what? Her relationships actually got stronger.
That's so interesting. It shows how setting boundaries can actually lead to deeper connections.
Right. And how to set boundaries. Give some great tips on how to do this,
Yeah.
like using I statements to express your needs without blaming the other person.
Yeah. Like instead of saying, you always interrupt me, you could say, I feel unheard when I'm interrupted.
It's a subtle shift, but it makes a big difference.
It really does.
Okay, let's talk about the power of saying no. That one little word can be so hard for some of us, especially for like total people pleasers.
Yeah, stop caring, start getting really breaks this down. They make a great point. Saying no isn't about rejecting others. It's about honoring your own needs and priorities.
So it's about deciding where to invest your time and energy.
Exactly.
And they give some really good advice on how to say no effectively. Like you don't always need a long explanation. Sometimes a simple no thank you is enough.
Totally. It's about setting that boundary and holding firm, even if it feels a little uncomfortable at first.
I think the more you do it, the easier it gets.
It's like building a muscle. The more you practice setting those boundaries, the stronger you'll become.
Okay, shifting gears a bit. Easygoing spirit also talks about the importance of being dependable, like being someone others can rely on.
It's about being present and accountable, following through on your commitments, and showing up for your loved ones when they need you.
They share this story about Bella, who's completely consumed by her work
Oh, no.
and often neglects her personal relationships. But she eventually realizes that those connections are just as important as career success.
I think a lot of us struggle with that balance.
Me too. It's a good reminder that we all need a support system, people we can count on.
And being that reliable person for others not only strengthens our relationships, but it also gives us a sense of purpose.
I love that. Okay, let's move into mindful living in a digital world. Because let's be real, our phones and screens are both amazing and totally overwhelming, right?
Tell me about it.
How to stay calm in every situation makes this connection between our physical space and our mental clarity, which I thought was so fascinating.
It's this idea that our environment can really impact how we feel. Like clutter and chaos in your physical space can create clutter and chaos in your mind.
It's like, duh. Why didn't I think of that before?
Yeah.
They recommend decluttering and simplifying your surroundings.
Like just picture a perfectly organized workspace, everything in its place.
Doesn't that already feel calming?
It's about creating a space that promotes focus and peace.
I'm in.
Mm.
Okay, and then there's the impact of digital consumption, which how to stay calm in every situation doesn't shy away from.
It's real.
They talk about how excessive screen time can really mess with our mental health.
It's constant stimulation and information overload. No wonder our attention spans are shrinking.
And anxiety levels are rising.
They even talk about how blue light from screens can disrupt our sleep.
Wait, it gets even crazier. Did you know that just a couple hours of screen time before bed can actually suppress melatonin production?
No way.
Yeah, it's crazy. No wonder we have trouble falling asleep.
So we need to be more mindful of our digital habits.
Totally. The book suggests trying a digital detox,
Right.
like putting those phones away, logging off social media, reconnecting with the real world.
I think I need that.
Me too. Speaking of not caring, stop caring, start getting, talks about this idea of strategic nonchalance. And I have to admit, I'm intrigued.
What is that?
It's not about being apathetic or indifferent. It's about choosing where to invest your emotional energy, detaching from outcomes and focusing on what you can control, your actions, your attitude, your effort.
So it's like finding that sweet spot between striving for excellence and understanding that you can't control everything
Exactly.
and not letting other people's opinions dictate your happiness.
Or unpredictable outcomes.
Yeah.
You know, it's
Yeah.
like they're saying, hey,
Yeah.
you can care deeply about things, but don't let those things control you. It's about finding that inner balance.
I like that.
You know, it seems like a major theme running through all of these sources is self-awareness.
Like really getting to know your thoughts, feelings, and behaviors.
Yes.
It's that ancient wisdom of know thyself, right?
But it's a lot harder than it sounds.
It is. But these books give us some really concrete ways to cultivate that self-awareness.
Like How to Stay Calm in Every Situation talks about understanding your emotional triggers.
Yeah.
And they don't just stop at noticing what triggers you. They go deeper, asking you to explore the WHY behind those triggers. Like what past experiences or beliefs might be feeding into those reactions.
That's where journaling can be so insightful.
It is. It gives you space to process those emotions and connect the dots, which ultimately gives you more control over how you respond.
It's like becoming an archaeologist of your own mind.
Right. Unearthing those hidden patterns and stories that shape your reactions.
I love that analogy.
Easygoing spirit also delves into the nature of worry, showing how it can be both a protective instinct,
You're right.
and a major stressor.
Yeah.
They highlight mindfulness and gratitude as powerful ways to counteract that worry.
Mindfulness is a game changer because it helps you stay grounded in the present moment
Yeah.
instead of getting lost in all those anxious thoughts about the future. And gratitude, that's like a superpower. It shifts your focus to all the good things in your life.
Right. Bringing a sense of calm and joy.
Even if things are tough right now, there's always something to be grateful for.
I needed to hear that.
It's like training your brain to focus on the abundance rather than the scarcity.
How true.
Easygoing Spirit tells the story about Bella, who was totally absorbed in her finance career.
I'm getting nervous already.
She was constantly chasing success and neglecting her personal life,
Sounds familiar.
so driven to achieve external validation that she completely lost sight of what truly mattered: genuine connection and inner peace.
It's like she was on this treadmill of achievement, going and going, but never really arriving.
Right.
It took a major setback, a layoff from her company, for her to realize that she needed to nurture those relationships.
Wow.
She started reconnecting with old friends and prioritizing quality time with loved ones.
That's beautiful.
It is. It's a beautiful reminder that true fulfillment comes from within, from those authentic connections and a sense of purpose. Okay, speaking of fulfillment, let's talk about setting healthy boundaries. How to set boundaries and easygoing spirit both stress how crucial this is, not just for our relationships, but for our overall well-being.
Absolutely. Boundaries are all about self-respect, recognizing that your needs and wants are just as important as anyone else's.
And communicating those needs effectively, without guilt or apology.
Exactly.
How to set boundaries really breaks down the process,
Oh, how so?
from identifying your limits to communicating them assertively.
It's so important to have those skills.
It is.
It's about tuning into those situations where you feel resentful, drained, or taken advantage of, and then taking steps to protect your energy and well-being.
Right. Easygoing Spirit has this story about Kate, who was initially very rigid and intolerant,
Oh.
which caused a lot of friction in her relationships. But through conversations with a friend, she learns to be more accepting and understanding of other people's differences.
And as she becomes more tolerant, her relationships actually blossom.
It's a great example of how letting go of that need to control everything can lead to deeper, more genuine connections.
It's about creating space for people to be themselves,
Exactly.
imperfections and all,
It makes the relationship feel so much more authentic.
for both people involved.
Okay, one of the biggest hurdles in setting boundaries is learning to say no,
That one tiny word can be so powerful,
but so difficult for a lot of us.
especially if you've always tried to please others.
I think that's why I love Stop Caring, Start Getting so much. They really get into the power of no and how it's not about being selfish or mean, but about prioritizing your own needs and values.
And they stress that saying no doesn't have to be confrontational. It can be done gracefully and respectfully while still honoring your own limits.
They offer some great practical tips, like not over-explaining or justifying your no,
Right.
and just stating your boundary clearly and calmly.
It's so important to remember that you don't owe anyone an explanation for your choices.
Your no is enough.
Exactly. Stop people-pleasing talks about overcoming the fear of confrontation.
Which is something so many people pleasers struggle with.
We avoid setting boundaries because we're terrified of conflict, of upsetting others, of being seen as difficult.
It's so true.
But this book encourages us to challenge those fears and recognize that healthy confrontation is actually essential for healthy relationships.
Okay, so how do we do that?
They suggest practicing assertive communication, using I statements to express your needs directly, and focusing on win-win solutions.
So it's about shifting from a people-pleasing mindset to one of mutual respect and understanding,
Exactly.
and recognizing that disagreements don't have to be destructive. They can actually be opportunities for growth and deeper connection.
I never thought of it that way.
Me neither. I used to avoid confrontation at all costs.
Same here.
I thought it meant something was wrong with the relationship,
But it's actually the opposite.
right?
Being able to express your needs and work through disagreements is a sign of a strong relationship.
It shows that you care enough to work things out.
Exactly.
Okay, back to easygoing spirit for a sec. They also talk about the importance of being dependable.
Oh yeah, being someone others can count on.
They tell this story about Brian, who's initially super uptight and always planning for the worst.
We've all met a Brian.
We have. It's exhausting being around people like that.
But luckily for Brian, he has a friend named Alex who embodies that easygoing spirit.
So Alex helps him loosen up, Embrace the present moment.
And find the humor in everyday situations.
So Brian learns to trust that things will generally work out, and that even when they don't, it's not the end of the world.
Exactly.
As Brian cultivates this more relaxed outlook, he becomes more dependable, more present for his friends.
And ultimately, more joyful.
It's a good reminder that letting go of that need to control everything can free us up to be more supportive and reliable.
For the people we care about.
Okay, we've talked a lot about our inner world and our relationships. Now, how about navigating this increasingly complex and demanding external world?
Ooh, good question.
How to stay calm in every situation. Offer some practical strategies for staying grounded amidst all the chaos.
Like what?
They emphasize creating a supportive physical environment, recognizing that our surroundings can really affect our mental state.
It's true. It's amazing how much our physical space can impact how we feel.
They suggest decluttering and simplifying our spaces, organizing our belongings.
Creating designated areas for different activities.
It's about creating a sense of order and tranquility in our homes and workspaces, which can really impact our focus and productivity.
It's like giving your mind permission to relax.
I'm all about that. And then there's the digital world, something we all struggle with these days.
The struggle is real.
How to stay calm in every situation doesn't sugarcoat it.
Yeah.
They talk about how excessive screen time can contribute to stress, anxiety, sleep disturbances.
Yeah, and even attention problems.
It's something we all need to be more aware of.
For sure.
They recommend setting limits on screen time, making sure technology doesn't take over our lives.
Like putting those phones away during meals or designating certain times a day as tech-free.
Right. Maybe even taking a full-on digital detox every now and then.
That sounds amazing.
Remember that concept of strategic nonchalance? From stop caring, start getting.
Oh, yeah.
Let's apply that to our digital lives. We don't have to be available 24/7.
Oh, so true.
We can choose to disconnect and recharge.
It's about finding that balance between the benefits of technology and the importance of disconnecting.
One thing that helps me is turning off notifications.
Yeah.
I used to get a little dopamine rush every time my phone buzzed, but it was so distracting.
Oh, I know that feeling.
Now I only allow notifications for essential things. It's made a huge difference in my focus.
Good for you.
So as we dive deeper into these trending tidbits, a common thread seems to be taking ownership of our lives.
Like realizing we have more power than we often give ourselves credit for.
Exactly.
Shifting from a victim mentality to one of empowerment.
Recognizing that we have choices in how we respond to challenges, how we set boundaries, how we design our lives.
Stop caring, start getting encourages us to identify those areas where we're giving away our power and start reclaiming it.
Yeah.
It's about recognizing that we don't have to be at the mercy of external circumstances or other people's expectations.
We have the power to choose our thoughts, our actions, and ultimately our destinies.
Stop people-pleasing also dives into this, encouraging us to break free from seeking external validation.
And cultivate a strong sense of self-worth that comes from within.
They offer some great strategies for identifying and challenging those limiting beliefs that keep us stuck in people-pleasing mode.
It's like they're saying, hey, you are enough, just as you are. You don't need anyone else's approval.
Such a powerful message.
So we've explored a lot of ground here. From mastering our inner world to setting healthy boundaries, to navigating the complexities of the digital age. What are some key takeaways that really resonate with you?
What strikes me is this idea of intentional living. Making conscious choices, aligning our actions with our values, creating a life that feels authentic and fulfilling.
I love that.
It's about being the author of your own story, rather than letting other people write it for you.
It's not about following a set of rules or trying to be perfect. It's about being mindful, self-aware, and taking ownership of our lives.
Exactly, and remembering that personal growth is a journey, not a destination.
There will be ups and downs, challenges, and setbacks.
But the important thing is to keep learning and keep moving forward.
This has been an incredible journey through these trending tidbits. I'm feeling so inspired.
Me too. But before we get too far ahead of ourselves, let's take a moment to reflect on everything we've discussed. We'll be back in a moment with some final thoughts and a challenge to help you bring these insights into your everyday life.
Okay, we're back.
Ready for more trending tidbits?
Always. So we've been talking about this idea of taking ownership of our lives. And one of the key things that keeps coming up is the power of choice.
Yeah, like recognizing that we have more control than we often think.
Exactly. Stop caring, start getting action. Really emphasizes taking action, even if it's imperfect action.
Better to experiment and learn from those missteps than to get stuck overthinking everything.
Totally.
They're all about progress over perfection. It's like letting go of the need to have everything figured out beforehand and just taking that first step.
Makes sense.
They share the story about a guy named Jay who's incredibly passionate and sensitive, but also prone to overthinking and anxiety.
Oh, I know a few J's.
They have the best intentions, but they get so stuck in their heads that they end up not doing anything.
It's like paralysis by analysis.
Exactly. And for Jay, that fear of making the wrong decision actually led him to miss out on opportunities.
So what happened?
Well, he eventually learned to manage his emotions, to balance his passion with logic and a healthy dose of detachment.
So he was able to move forward with more confidence.
Exactly. It's a great reminder that we don't have to be controlled by our emotions. We can learn to observe them, understand them, and ultimately choose how we respond to them.
It's like taking back the reins. Stop caring also encourages us to stay true to ourselves, even when others might not understand or approve.
Embrace those unique quirks and passions.
Follow your own inner compass.
Don't let the need for external validation dictate your choices.
There's this line in the book that I love. Write your story from a smart place of careful self-examination, not from the careless comments of other people.
Ooh, that's good. It's a reminder that we get to define who we are, not other people.
And when we live authentically, we naturally attract those who resonate with our true selves.
So true.
Okay, let's talk about stop people-pleasing for a minute. It really dives into the complexities of setting boundaries, especially with those closest to us.
It's definitely harder to say no to family and close
The
friends.
stakes feel higher.
You don't want to disappoint them or hurt their feelings.
Right.
But the book makes it clear that healthy boundaries are essential for healthy relationships.
It's about creating a foundation of respect and understanding.
They encourage us to be direct and honest with our loved ones, to explain our needs clearly, and not be afraid to say no when necessary.
Which can be really tough.
You can.
They also talk about dealing with guilt, which is something so many people-pleasers struggle with.
It's about recognizing that guilt is often a self-imposed emotion. It's okay to prioritize your well-being, even if it means disappointing someone else.
They even suggest reframing guilt as a sign that you're honoring your own needs and values.
Which is actually a positive thing.
It's about shifting from that people-pleasing mindset to one of self-care and self-respect.
Totally.
Okay, so as we wrap up our trending tidbits extravaganza, is there one key takeaway that you think our listeners should really focus on?
If I had to pick just one, it would be this. You have the power to choose. You have the power to choose your thoughts, your actions, your responses, and ultimately, your destiny.
Ooh, I like that.
Don't give that power away to anyone or anything.
It's about reclaiming our agency, recognizing that we're not just passive bystanders in our own lives.
We have the ability to shape our experiences and create a life that feels meaningful and fulfilling.
And remember, personal growth is an ongoing journey.
There will be bumps in the road, but the key is to keep learning, keep experimenting, and keep moving forward.
This has been an incredible journey through these trending tidbits.
I'm feeling so inspired.
Me too. But before we get too far ahead of ourselves, let's take a moment to reflect on everything we've discussed. We'll be back in a moment with some final thoughts and a challenge to help you bring these amazing insights into your everyday life. All right, we're back.
And ready to wrap up our exploration of these awesome trending tidbits.
So we've covered a lot, but
Yeah.
the real magic happens when we actually take action.
Right. You can listen to all the books and podcasts, but if you don't apply it, it's just information floating around in your head.
Totally. Stop caring. It actually talks about this. They take action even if it's imperfect.
It's so much better to experiment and, learn from those missteps
Yeah.
than to overthink everything and never do anything. They're all about progress, not perfection.
Yeah.
They tell this story about a guy named Jay. He's super passionate and sensitive, but also really prone to overthinking.
Oh, no.
Yeah, and it leads to a lot of anxiety for him.
Makes sense.
He has the best intentions, but he gets so stuck in his head that he ends up not doing anything.
I know a Jay like that. They're the best, but sometimes they just can't seem to get out of their own way.
Exactly. And for Jay, this fear of making the wrong decision actually made him miss out on some great opportunities.
Oh, that's sad.
It is. But eventually, he learns to manage his emotions, to balance his passion with logic and a healthy dose of detachment.
So he was able to find more clarity.
Yeah, and move forward with confidence.
It's a good reminder that we don't have to be controlled by our emotions. We
Totally.
can learn to observe them, understand them, and then choose how we respond.
Stop caring also talks about staying true to yourself,
Yeah.
even when others might not understand.
Oh, yeah, that's so important.
It is. Like, embrace those unique quirks and passions. Follow your own inner compass. Don't let the need for external validation hold you back.
Love that. There's this one line in the book that I absolutely love. Write your story from a smart place of careful self-examination, not from the careless comments of other people.
That is so good.
Right.
It reminds us that we get to define who we are, not other people.
And when we live authentically, we naturally attract those who resonate with our true selves.
That's the beauty of it.
Okay, let's shift gears to stop people-pleasing for a sec. It really dives into the complexities of setting boundaries, especially with those closest to us.
It can be so much harder to say no to family and close friends.
The stakes feel higher,
Yeah, you don't want to disappoint them or hurt their feelings.
but the book emphasizes that healthy boundaries are essential for healthy relationships.
When we're clear about our limits and communicate them assertively, it creates more respect and understanding. They encourage us to be direct and honest with our loved ones, to clearly explain our needs, and to not be afraid to say no when we need to.
Which can be so tough,
It can.
but it's so important,
But you also talk about dealing with guilt.
which is something so many people-pleasers struggle with.
It's about recognizing that guilt is often a self-imposed emotion, and that it's okay to prioritize your well-being, even if it means disappointing someone else.
Right.
They even suggest reframing guilt as a sign that you're honoring your own needs and values.
Which is a positive thing.
Totally.
It's about shifting from that people-pleasing mindset
Yeah,
to one of self-care and self-respect.
exactly.
So, as we wrap up our trending tidbits extravaganza, is there one key takeaway that you hope our listeners will remember?
You know, if I had to choose just one, it would be this. You have the power to choose. You have the power to choose your thoughts, your actions, your responses, and ultimately your destiny.
I love that.
Don't give that power away.
It's about recognizing that we're not just passive bystanders in our own lives.
We get to create a life that feels meaningful.
And remember, personal growth is a journey, not a destination.
There will be bumps in the road, but just keep learning and keep moving forward.
This has been an amazing exploration of these trending tidbits. I feel so inspired.
Me too.
Here's a final thought to chew on as you go about your day. What's one small step you can take this week to honor your needs, set a healthy boundary, or just be a little kinder to yourself?
It doesn't have to be a grand gesture,
Just a small act of self-care and empowerment.
because every small step counts.
We're here cheering you on every step of the way.
Until next time, keep diving deep. Keep exploring those trending tidbits.
See you soon.